Ahoy, guys. Welcome to the 17th episode of Drunken podcast. I'm your host, Tay Infinite, alongside my bro, my best friend, the co-host, Captain Crockett. No, CyberCalamity. I feel to get this every single time.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. This is another special guest episode. We had one last week with Colin. You should check that out as well. But this week we have Bryan. So introduce yourself.
Hello.
Bryan. Hello, everyone.
Crockett, you're a fucking weeb. Hey guys, how you doing? It's been a long time. My first time on the show. Thank you for having me.
Finally.
Yeah,
I get
fucking
to be
finally.
the big man on top here and have you on my podcast.
Isn't how time works?
Did you ever come on my podcast? Did I ever get you on?
Yeah, I did the Shin Godzilla episode.
And I listened to it.
yeah.
I got so jealous. Yeah, I listened to it. I got so jealous at Jordan.
I remember that.
I'll listen to that at my aunt's house at the time. So, Bryan, what you do, man? What you doing right?
Well, right now I mostly do video editing. I haven't done. I used to do a podcast when I went to school with you guys. Haven't done it in a long time, but I'm doing good. Just got a job video editing, got a job content
Sweet.
creating, and that's what I've been focusing on for so long. And I've been playing a shit ton of Final Fantasy 14, and just trying to exist in the middle of a global pandemic. And I'm trying not to go crazy.
Yeah, it's already taking over me. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, no, I'm fed up with it. The thing that I'm fed up with is like the pandemic itself would be fine if it was just a pandemic.
Yeah.
But like we have to deal with all of these idiots. Like yesterday, I was at a gas station, and I was behind some dude that was going to buy cigarettes, and he's standing in line and he's wearing the mask perfectly fine. And then as soon as he gets up to the cash register, he fucking takes the mask off and says, "Hey, can I have some cigarettes?" And the lady backed away going like, "Sir, put your fucking mask back on."
I see so many people do that every day. Like they'll wear their mask, they'll get up and it's like, let me just be clear and take my mask off. Or actually the best one is like when someone takes the mask down to cough and then puts it back on.
I just look at them, just shake my head. It's like they walk around with the mask on, but it's not over their nose. What's the point?
Dude, that pisses me off. That pisses me off. Might as well walk around with your cock out. It's fucking stupid.
People are rude, man. They don't care.
Have you guys seen the mask where it's like it like opens and closes with your mouth? People be like taking they eat with those things on.
That's we live in a strange time, dude.
Completely defeat the point, right? Like,
yeah.
Absolutely, it defeats the point. The point is that you don't breathe into other people's mouths because you're fucking filthy.
Like, I was at Walmart yesterday, or the day before yesterday. Like, you just ever just look at around you, people wearing this mask, and like, you never thought we'd be at that point of wearing a mask like this. Like it's part of our daily fashion now.
Yeah.
Culture has forever changed.
Say it again.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I just said that culture has forever changed. Like, we're never going to be the same.
Yeah.
Like, for the next, like, I feel like in 40 years, people are going to be wearing, like, Tokyo Ghoul mask, and it's going to be socially acceptable.
I'm already saying, like, Oni mask, plenty of times, people wearing those, like, Oni, like, it's a face mask, but it had, like, the Oni, like, teeth on it and all that stuff now. I've been seeing, like, all different designs now. So it's, like,
dope.
people just trying to be cute with it now.
I'm glad you guys brought that up because I just bought a mask yesterday that's like a stylish mask to match like my clothing and stuff.
Yeah. I just go simple black because it goes with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I have like it's like the mask is like this like little skeleton dude. It's like it's white and then it's like it has black stripes and then like has like this little skeleton dude like creeping out like blinds.
Yeah. Well, I want a Superman one though.
I have a bright ass green mask.
Bright green.
Why? You have a green screen mask.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just Humana sells them, and I just bought one, and I walk around like completely dressed in black, but this bright ass green mask in front of me.
Yeah.
Just like fucking. The plumber came to my house the other day, and he took off his mask to talk to me.
Just kick him out your house.
I think people forget like
it's instinct.
What's the point? Like it's it's just like they wear it and then they're like, like, hang on, just so you can hear me better.
Yeah.
Or some people
I hate
are
wearing this thing. Let me pull it down. It's just like if you don't fucking put your mask back on, you're gonna fucking stick your head in the toilet. See how you like that?
Or some people take it off and like, excuse me, what'd you say? Just to hear. you know, like you go.
It's like when you turn down the
Music.
car music
Yeah.
to see better.
Yeah, it's like that for some people. Yeah.
I do that all the time. So
Yeah.
what have you guys been up to?
That.
I mean, doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
You guys still have a job? Like, are you? I haven't talked to any of you in like fucking 6 months, at least.
I think it's been way longer than 6 months. I
Yeah,
think it's been
I
like
think
2
so.
years.
Like chat wise or like voice?
Like, like a legitimate conversation. Because I talk shit with you on Twitter all the time about
Yeah.
nerds being stupid, and I tag Crockett on weird weep stuff. But like, actually have a conversation. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time.
2
and I'm
years.
very happy to hear your voice. Yeah, since
Oh
we
my God.
graduated, kinda.
Yeah. Did you go to
I feel,
graduation?
I feel like we all should be like having like a whiskey sour right now,
Yeah.
since we're all having a full blown conversation again.
I thought about the corner the other day, and I really miss that place, and I hope that it survives.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time, like how we used to go there as a group. Like, remember like that time you lost your keys at the movies?
Shit.
Oh yeah,
dude.
I remember that. Where did we see
I
that?
was
though?
pissed. What did we see? It was. I feel like it was a Marvel thing.
Was it? Was it?
You know, we probably all don't remember because we all were getting sloshed at the fucking bar right before we went to go see a movie.
No, I remember that because he had to go back in again because they closed around that time when we left.
Yeah, because they closed when we left, and I had to like talk to the lady, and she was so annoyed at me. She was just like, "I don't know where your keys are." She's like, "They're in that room. Just let me in and let me go get them."
Was it Deadpool?
But they, it may have
No,
been Deadpool. No,
It wasn't Deadpool.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I know that
It was
the
something
lady.
Super forgettable.
She kicked me out because she was just like, "Yeah, the other movie started, so I can't let you in."
She's like, that sucks.
Pretty much. She was like, "Tough titties. We better stay here for a little while." So we got drunk instead, and then I went home. God, that was stressful. But yeah, I wonder how Alan's doing, my man Alan.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't.
Go ahead. No, so isn't it the time Bryan had a rental car?
Yeah, that's exactly why. Because that's exactly what it was. Someone hit me, and I had a rental car, so the keys weren't clipped into my belt. They were hanging out of my pocket.
You were on your way to come play Magic with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone hit you. Yeah, I remember this.
I was on my way to Matthews to play Magic with you guys, and someone like just absolutely wrecked my shit.
It was some
on my
kid,
way
right?
there. It was some 18-year-old kid. His
Yeah.
name was Daniel. He missed the sub sign and fucking hit my passenger. I hit his door, and my radiator like leaked like 5 minutes after that
Oh,
happened. Just
God.
all of the water out of my car, completely
Jesus.
gone. And then, fun fact, like 7 months later, my engine blew up, and so I had to get a new car.
Yeah, if the engine's done, that's it. They get a new
Yeah,
car.
partly because of that accident, because it's like after that accident, my radiator never worked properly.
Overheated.
It just
Yeah.
overheated. My engine literally, like, I was driving it one time and it just went like, clack, 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 and that was it. I got stuck in
Like
a
Mr. Krabs laughing.
Hey,
got
Clancy
stuck in a
Brown.
gas station in South Carolina with my girlfriend, and they didn't have a car for like 3 weeks after that. It sucked.
When you wreck your car,
Yeah.
there's a certain smell that you smell, and like that's how you know you're fucked. When you smell that, when you hit your car,
Yeah.
and then it has like this weird smell coming through, you're like, you know you're fucked.
It's like a weird sort of like burny, gasoline-y smell.
Yeah, I have no way of explaiing it.
Yeah.
But
But
if
you
you've
know.
ever been in a car wreck, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know the smell coming through your like vents.
The
It smells
rage.
like almost like a like a plasticky tube smell or something. It's
and
something
it's like
so
burned
bizarre.
rubber and all of that shit, and it's fucking awful. And also, I'm never angrier than when I get in a car accident. It's never like, you never get in a car accident and are like, oh man, are you okay? So I was like, fuck, you know. It's
Thank God I've never been in like a car accident, but I have hit a deer square.
God.
Like usually when people hit a fucking deer, it's like on the side of their car, or it's like, you know, it's never like square in the middle. I had a deer square in the middle of my car, and my front end just went like wimp. So my entire it seemed like I just smashed my radiator all to pieces right into my motor.
Oh,
You seen that video where they hit a car and it went like at least 30 feet in the air? You ever seen that video?
What?
They hit a deer. Like,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah, it was messed up, but it's funny. It just goes like 40 feet in the air. Like,
You guys ever seen like a semi truck hit a deer?
It explodes.
Yeah, it turns into like spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, it
Just gets decimated.
Yeah.
Man, poor deer.
You go, oh dear.
You just look at it. Yeah. That shouldn't be as funny, but oh dear. Hey Brian, what's the most recent film you've seen this year?
So it's a movie called The Death of Dick Long.
You made that up.
No, I I promise you. It's a movie it's Daniel Cheer. You guys see Swiss Army Man?
No, it's on my list to watch though.
So the directors of Swiss Army Man, one half of them directed an independent movie in Alabama called The Death of Dick Long, and it's phenomenal. And it's about a dude named Dick who dies, and then the whole movie is two of his friends trying to cover up his death. And you don't really find out what happened until like halfway through the movie, but it's just a weird celebration of Southern Alabama culture with like just weird people, and it's if you guys, it's like $4 on Amazon Prime. You should absolutely go watch it. It's an amazing little film.
So it's like reverse Weekend at Bernie's.
Kinda, because the guy dies in the first 10 minutes, and they just drop him off at a hospital, and then the movie is about the investigation who's done by this old lady, like this fucking 70-year-old woman that's in the police force, trying to investigate the murder of Dick Long. And the two guys the two friends that dropped them off in the hospital are the ones that like essentially killed them. And so they're trying to hide from the law and like trying not to tell anybody what happened. But they're the last ones that saw Dick alive. And it's a mess of a film, and it's very weird because I don't know if I should spoil it, but it's the dude died because a horse fucked him to death.
What?
Yeah, the dude died because a horse fucked him to death.
No, there was a story years ago that that happened to a real
Talking
guy.
about Mr. Hands.
The guy from it was from that weird like torture porn videos that came out that were really popular when we were kids that we should definitely not have seen. But
Well, I never seen it, but I
It
heard
came
of
out when
this.
we were kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Death of Dick Long. It's a fantastic movie. It's directed by Daniel, I think Cheer is his name. And if you want to explore a slice of life in Alabama where someone dies by horsecock, then it's a great fucking movie. If that's your niche.
I don't think we mentioned it yet. That so this week's topic is films, because I find like films are going through an interesting change right now.
Yeah.
And we had our friend Bryan on today because that we wanted. I should have mentioned that Brian's a film major. He knows a lot about films. He had a film podcast, which is a great podcast. You can go check it out for film's sake.
Yeah, it's still in Spotify, so keep it up. It's for film's sake.
Yeah, I'll link in the description below for you, dude.
Look out for Shin Godzilla. I'm on that episode.
Don't look at that episode. I recommend it. It's terrible.
I remember that Tay walked up to me in school,
but I wanted to-
offended.
Brian, I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you, so where do you see like the future of films going right now with the pandemic, and then them like we not being able to go to the theater, watch movies and all this stuff? And do you think like the theaters are going to die out and it's going to be all streaming now?
So that's a great question to look at, sort of like just the state of film right now as the pandemic. I think it's really fascinating. I don't think that the theater experience is going to die out at all. It's going to come back eventually in a way that's not unlike what we had before the pandemic. What is going to be different, I think, is that we are now going to be able to justify releasing things to streaming a lot quicker. And in some way circumventing like the theater experience. Because production companies and distribution companies are realizing that technology, like streaming technology, now has the capacity to deliver something that's comparable to like the theater experience. By method of like, and I guess by that I'm saying is that there's not going to be like the movie comes out in theater like March 5th and then in April 25th we get it out on DVD. You know, I think that the way that I see it, we're going through a more like fast-paced streaming distribution, even if the film does come out in theater, but also independent films are potentially going to see a lot more access into the streaming platforms rather than looking at the traditional distribution method, which has been oversaturated by big studios like Disney and well, Disney and Marvel are the same thing now. But what I think we're going to see is independent movies and independent filmmakers are going to start jumping at the opportunities to be on streaming platforms a lot more, and maybe stop seeking that independent theater distribution because it is a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to get than, like, let's say a deal with Netflix or a deal with Amazon. So as far as like the theater experience dying, no, I don't think so. I think that they make so much money. Like Infinity Wars made $1 billion in revenue in its runtime, you know? Not
it's
Infinity
like
War.
3 days,
Endgame.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Endgame made $1 billion in like its opening weekend almost, pretty much. And in its runtime, it made back its budget in its opening weekend, and it made over $1 billion during the entire like 7-month run that it was in theaters, because it was in theater for so long.
Yeah, I mean, like I think most people saw it twice.
They didn't
Yeah.
re-release it months later, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
a month or something.
Took it off the
I
market.
think so it could beat Avatar.
Yeah, but it never did. I'm not mistaken.
Really,
It
never did.
It never did.
I thought
no.
it did. I thought it did beat Avatar.
It was super close, but it didn't hit the 2 billion mark or something.
Yeah. I think Tay might be right about that. But we're in a state in the industry that theater distribution is kind of dominated by whoever has the most money. And that right now is Disney and Marvel, specifically like the Marvel franchises. You know, I wrote an article about this.
Yeah.
In Medium not too long ago about the article's talking about like pretentiousness in film, but half of the article is like, why are independent movies not allowed the same space as these big studio movies? And it's because when Endgame releases or when Infinity War releases, 50% of the screen real estate is devoted to those releases. So I guess my answer is no, the theater experience is not going to die out, but we are going to see, once the pandemic is over, is that the big studios are going to invest a lot of money into getting the traditional theater experience back. Because it's hard. Go ahead.
Not to cut you off. Scorsese's recent film, wasn't it a theater release too?
The Irishman
Yeah.
only got a 1-day theater release, but he did that
one
so
day.
that it would be. But he did that so he would be considered an Academy
the
Award
Oscar, right?
candidate. Yeah. So as it stands right now, the Academy doesn't recognize films that were released that didn't have a theater release. So in order to be nominated for an Academy Award, you have to have a theater distribution release. So Scorsese put Irishman for 1-day limited release so that it would be considered for the Oscars.
Yeah, Jordan told me this yesterday, and they're like, that's so stupid in my opinion, and that's so bizarre.
There is a camp of purists in there in like the filmmaking world that think that because something is being delivered straight into your home or through a streaming platform, that it's not, that you're losing something from the final product. And Steven Spielberg is one of them. Steven Spielberg hates the idea of like recognizing Netflix originals or Netflix streaming films as like potential Academy Award winners. And it's, for me, it just stems out of pretentiousness. People are just being dicks about the whole thing.
It kind of reminds me how indie games compared to AAA games, people think they're worse because they're in lower budget, but what qualify those games are just the gameplay itself, not the budget. And some people view games that way too with indie games.
And yeah, and
sounds
it's
kind of similar to that.
and with films, like the same thing happens. Like the independent film market versus like the mainstream. I don't want to say mainstream. It makes me sound like a film hipster. But like the big budget $150 million movies
Yeah.
that are being produced have is that their ability to market themselves is so wildly disproportionate to the ability that independent filmmakers have to market themselves. So, if anything, as a result of this pandemic, we are going to see more independent filmmakers or independent film production companies embracing streaming and maybe shying away from the traditional theater structure, except for when they want to get released as an Oscar. Maybe they do a limited release or something like that. But
So yeah, this is what I wanted to bring up about that before we get too far away from it. Is Nolan keeps delaying Tenet because he wants to release it for theater, and and then I was thinking that it was because of he wants it to be nominated for an Oscar.
I would totally believe that, because Nolan is one of those directors that, like, his skill set is incredibly Oscar bait.
Yeah.
So,
I can totally see. Yeah, definitely. Just like it's everything. Every shot is cinematic. Every scene has to have like deep dialogue or like meaningful dialogue or something. It's nothing is thrown away.
Yeah, nothing is thrown away, and he's a Nolan at the heart of it. Nolan is an interesting case because he's someone that started as a very low budget filmmaker, that suddenly found his way working with like $60 million, $70 million, $200 million budgets, and Tenet is probably being delayed. First of all, Nolan is a film purist. He really does believe in the capacity. I think he shoots film. I don't think he shoots digital even.
Jesus, he's so authentic as possible.
Yeah, well, and I have issue with the authenticity of like this film purist. Like, film is nothing to be pure. I mean, it's less than 200 years old. Like, technology has grown so far. There's nothing that digital can do that film can't do, and vice versa. It's just a matter of doing the math or doing the process to get the look that you want. But people like Nolan are, in my opinion, actively hurting the industry when they become gatekeepers of what is considered a film.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So, like, I'm a huge Marvel fan and all this stuff, and about like film Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a film buff. I don't know much into film. I'm not gonna act like I do, but I watch these blockbuster movies in theaters, like Marvel movies and Star Wars or something, Godzilla. But to see like, why do like some people consider like for example, the prime example, Marvel films are not considered film? Why is that?
So it's it's really fascinating because Martin Scorsese said that the Marvel movies were not cinema. That was like the exact quote. Like, they're movies and they're entertainment, but they're not cinema.
Popcorn films.
Yeah, they're popcorn films. They're not. I like the Marvel movies. I enjoy a lot of the Marvel films that come out. However, I am on Scorsese's side that they are not cinema. And I think that is because they don't tell particularly complex stories. They don't deviate away from the formula of conventional structure. So like Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok are the exact same film structurally. Thor and Black Panther get disowned from their kingdoms. They have to find who they are, find their own values intrinsically, and then come back to their kingdoms in an attempt to reclaim them. And then at the end, Thor sacrifices his kingdom to find another one. And what the fuck is his name? T'Challa opens the borders, therefore destroying the culture that was born in Wakanda. So they're both kings that get disowned, have to learn a lesson about their own morality, come back to their kingdoms to save it, and end up sacrificing what was their home world as it was when they knew it. So it's the same film structurally. The only difference is the presentation. Thor Ragnarok, the characters and the genre of film that they are. Thor Ragnarok is more of a comedy, while Black Panther is more of a traditional action film, or like an action thriller. So when I think someone like Scorsese says that a film isn't cinema, it's that it's not tackling any complex human emotion. It's not telling a story that has any lasting effect. Like if Tony Stark this has always been my gripe with the Marvel movies. Tony Stark has a great storytelling potential that I feel is not utilized with his PTSD and what happened between Iron Man 1 and Avengers 1.
Yeah.
And so if the film had decided to stray away from the conventionally attractive that would draw in the masses, I would have explored how someone with Tony's trauma would have reacted after Age of Ultron. Then we would have had a much more rich, compelling story. But instead, we get a character whose main motivation is getting rid of his own guilt of being a weapon seller. And then after that, creating the thing that could have destroyed more people than it could have saved, namely in Age of Ultron. So he sacrifices himself at the end of End War to kind of make up for that guilt. But there's no exploration of what that trauma did to him as a character, not in a deep way.
Could I argue that?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
So, like Iron Man 1 to Avengers 1, he that's where his PTSD started. Mm-hmm. Iron Man 3 try to show you that, and it did like briefly.
Yeah.
But
I was about to say the same thing. Is like Iron Man 3 does touch on that, but if Iron Man 3 was actually a good movie, it probably would have like hit it out of the park if they actually nailed it.
Like with his PTSD, I always go to like Civil War after the incident, like when the beginning scene where the explosion happens and Tony sees it, like he just messed up. He killed like this woman came to him about her son dying, and does that like kind of structurally tie in with his PTSD and like he must do something he thinks is right so he doesn't cause a mistake again?
So yeah, and the thing is like this is what's so frustrating about the Marvel universe when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's always so close to being so good with its characters, but never quite getting there. So Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 are my favorite of the entire situation of Marvel movies, namely because they are so close to the character of Tony Stark, and they want to explore those things. They want to explore the darkness that lies with the guilt that he's feeling about his actions as Iron Man. But it's when we get into Avengers. The Avenger films are really what knocked that out for me, because that's when Joss Whedon starts taking care of the scripts. And I love Joss Whedon as a writer, but he does this thing, the way that he introduces comedy undermines all of the dramatic plot points of the film.
Yeah, that's a big problem with Marvel films for some people, how they can't balance the emotions correctly or something like that.
Yeah.
I can see the argument with that, yeah.
You can have a very dramatic moment, like if the moment where Tony starts seeing the visions for... like when all the Avengers are dead with the aliens, that vision that he had. Yeah. And that's why he wanted to, that's why he started to build Ultron and like thinking of that whole concept. If that wasn't so undercut dramatically by how smart ass Tony is and how much of a joke he has to deliver like every 10 seconds and make a punchline about their current situation, then that could have had a huge dramatic impact, because that has the potential to communicate something about that character. He is worried.
What is that meme where that dude's like sitting at his desk and he has like that big vein coming down his forehead, and it's like when you're like trying not to make a joke every 10 seconds.
No, it's funny, like that stuff. Well, I understand the problem and the criticism, it never really bothered me. But when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, when did that really, because that wasn't in, did it start with Avengers 1 when they start doing that and then it's never stopped? Because Iron Man 1 to like, what was the last MCU? Captain America 1, the like, majority of phase 1, they weren't really like that till like Avengers and onwards.
They weren't, and and it started with Avengers, mainly because, again,
because of Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon is a fantastic writer. Yeah. But he undermines his own dramatic emotion. But Avengers was also one of the best received movies of the Marvel cinema. Mm-hmm. So even when Joss Whedon wasn't writing the films now, the tone was established. Because we were all leading up to Avengers. And then Avengers had that tone. So everything that you did after that kind of gets polluted with that same tone, because you want tonal consistency across films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when Joss Whedon took over for the Avengers, I think his kind of vision, what he wanted to make was like a more comic...
It's a comic movie.
I guess true. Yeah, it's truer to the comic. And I mean, it didn't really... That's probably good for like, like comic fans, but for like movie-going fans and trying to establish like this, like, you want to have layers to the film and stuff. It's not it's probably like kind of shallow.
Yeah,
in that
well,
sense.
the thing is that, and this is where the concept of knowing what you are comes from. Because if I know that a Marvel movie is going to be kind of silly, punchy action, kind of schlocky, comic book type action, and I go see it and I enjoy that, that is a successful movie.
Yeah.
That is, but the thing is that after Avengers, they still want to ground themselves in this kind of gritty, realistic manner, but still have all of the comedy moments of the comic books. And so, like, you're grounded in reality, but you're also deviating the rules from reality by undercutting all of the dramatic tension between characters and making a joke every 10 seconds. Whereas in real life, if Tony Stark was upset about something, he wouldn't in the next scene be immediately okay. You know, he wouldn't make a joke about that. He would deflect something. There's no dramatic consistency in the Marvel movies post Avengers 1. And that's my biggest problem with the film. That's not what makes them not cinema. What I think makes them not cinema for me is that they are made for mass market appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So the Avengers movie or the Marvel movies in general are not trying to say anything. They're not trying to come at you with a theme. They're not trying to come at you with something
Just here,
that has,
watch this. Just enjoy it. Yeah.
just watch all these characters punch something flashy and have conflict, and then have that conflict be resolved. It's a little clean. It's a little too clean. And
You know,
so,
it's fascinating as these movies progress, they're becoming more comic book than ever. And what we're seeing now is like literally what comic books are too. Like one issue, Superman's depressed. The next issue, Superman's like fighting like God
Right.
or something. Next issue, you don't whatever. And there's like issues from back to back with the same continuity.
and that becomes a problem because you're not really exploring a character's state of mind. You're not really exploring the consequences of a character's actions. You're not exploring anything that goes beyond the superficial layer of him punching something, and then the layer below that of him reacting to him punching something. Everything is all just very flat on the surface.
Flat. Mm-hmm.
And that sucks because Tony Stark's PTSD, or Captain America's disillusionment with the government, or Thor's struggle with identity, all are incredible, amazing themes that could be explored to show, you know, like no matter how good you are or how strong you are, these mental struggles are always going to be there and they're always going to be part of a person's life. And you could have taken a unique twist to that, particularly with Captain America, who's a really patriotic character who saw the fall of his government, saw the government be corrupt and then be destroyed in front of his eyes, the one thing that he cared about. And he just reacts by
Never
running,
changing.
by running from the law, but his views never really change. He
He's
just
the best
becomes much
Superman
more
film of all
independent.
time. Best Superman film on film, in my opinion. Actually.
Captain America?
Yeah,
Yeah,
currently.
I can
His
see that.
views never changed, and the world around him changed, but he never changed.
Right.
Yeah,
Y-
yeah.
You know, like if I want to play devil's advocate on this. There are some great comic book movies. I wouldn't say like a bunch of them, but Logan is by far probably the best comic book movie.
Dude, Logan is an amazing comic book film.
You know, like, see, that's so funny. Like
If you do like sorry to cut you off,
Yeah.
but like Logan, I just want to say like Logan and then the Joker. But I would argue like Joker isn't really even a comic book movie. More or less, it's a good movie with just a comic book character slapped on top of it.
See, I was gonna say for Logan as well. I love Logan; it's an amazing film, but it's nothing like the comic at all. There's similar themes, but it's nothing like the comic.
But
Yeah.
Logan is so sorry. I agree with you. I think that there are good movies that have the comic book elements attached to them, but
Yeah.
that is what makes them good comic book movies
Mm.
because they're exploring the themes. Logan, the comic book, and Logan, the old man Logan issues explore the same theme. What happens when the world that you lived in as a superhero outgrows you?
Yeah,
That's the thematic of those things. And the comic book explores that in an apocalyptic fashion with all of the superheroes dead and Logan doing one last mission. And so that's one way to explore that theme. You see how the world as a natural conclusion has ended because the superheroes essentially ended it. But then in Logan, we see a world where humans outgrew superheroes.
The mutants, yeah.
The mutants. There's no need for them anymore. They haven't shown up. Most of them are dead. And it's a Western. And Westerns typically have the theme of the wild outlaw that has no place either in wilderness, in the outlaw world, or in the civilized world. And that is exactly what Logan is exploring. Logan is exploring a man who was consumed by anger and the brutality of the world, living in a world that no longer needs that or opposes those values at all. So he's caught in the limbo of being the outlaw and being civilized and dancing that identity.
That's a great way to put that movie, because like I now that you said it, it is like a Western.
Yeah, it was marked as a Western,
puts it
actually.
Really good perspective, like how I view that movie now.
You know, like with Joker, when it was releasing and all the outrage and stuff was going on with it. Who was the director for Joker? I forgot the director's
Todd
name.
Todd
Phillips. Yeah.
Todd Phillips. It was a little, I guess, interview he did where like Joker's a comic book character. Everyone should know that. But he was like he's afraid to admit that was a comic book character. He didn't want his film to be a comic book movie.
Right. And man, there's a lot of stigma. Like if I got hired to adapt a comic book script,
yeah,
like you have so much expectations going against you when you're directing that film. It's no surprise that we get movies like Joker or we get movies like Logan where you're taking the themes, but you're not taking what happened in the film. And that's the medium is inherently different. Like comic books can be wild and they can be crazy.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can.
And we have this established language with them where like one issue or one set of issues occur in one continuity while another set of issues occur in another continuity. But we don't grant movies the same value. We don't grant movies the same leeway. If a movie is released, like the Spider-Man movies, there's 3 different continuities for Spider-Man movies right now.
It's
and
ridiculous.
People throw a fucking tantrum every time they have to talk about that because they can't let one movie exist without having to call back on the other ones as being the true Spider-Man film. But we don't see that in the comics. In the comics, there's like, what? How many versions of fucking Spidey are there?
Countless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. My bad. I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna finish that thought. It's like film as a medium gets constrained by fan expectation and what should be acceptable for fandoms because they want something and they feel entitled to that thing. And then studios, the people that are funding these movies, don't want to lose their money. So they accommodate all of these films to match that expectations as best as they can. So you end up with the Whedon Avengers and everything post that, which is a version of the comic book movies that could be very fascinating if it wasn't undercutting itself at every turn because they're too afraid to commit to an emotional tone.
That's what I was going to say. Like for me personally, like what I want from a comic book movie is like that core character is still there, but you can do whatever you want with the script, but just at least keep those core characters' values and what he does or she does and what they represent. Keep that, but do literally anything you want with the story.
Yeah,
like the idea, like keep the idea and spirit of that character.
Like that's my
and then take those spirits and ideas and take it down like a path that they've never walked before, or something like that.
No, I mean, like, see, I'm literally making fun of Man of Steel right now, or Batman v Superman.
Yeah, those are bad comic book films.
In the sense of how they portray their characters, but the stories are quote unquote original. But I just don't like the presentation of those characters. Like for something like Logan's a good example. That's still Wolverine to me from the comic books in some form. Not exactly 100%, but that's still Wolverine I see. But the story around him is different, which makes a good movie. But like something like hypothetically, they make like, for example, like let's make like a Batman movie where he just straight up kills people. That's out of his character. That wouldn't be Batman to me.
Yeah.
It just.
I think if they did like better explaining that world of like why he does this and what really they should have never did the fucking reverse of having a Batman v Superman movie before having their own like lead up movies. Like I think because it seems like Batman probably had a mental break watching like Robin die.
That's
and
what it
then
was.
Just went overboard and just started fucking strangling people. The movie spends like maybe 2 seconds of him like, you know, being in that, you know, seeing that, but we really don't get an explanation on why he's like that and why he's killing, and it's just
Well, because he's aged and he's experienced the stupid trauma he went through his journey as Batman. But the thing is, if Batman's doing that, why do certain characters exist? He's not even Batman anymore at that point. He's Punisher. He's just straight up murking gods. He's branding dudes in jail. It's like, why do you even call him Batman anymore if he's doing that? Then Batman's personally, his little one, his character traits is he doesn't use a gun. He doesn't kill, because if he kills, he would keep going through that path.
Yeah.
He won't stop. So why do Batman exist? Like, it's just like I'm saying, like, you can do literally any story you want. Just keep that character the same as I want from. Well, similar. I wouldn't say same, but that's not possible. But keep it close enough to the comic book version.
Well,
some films don't do
spirit.
that. Yeah, the spirit. Sometimes I don't see that.
Especially with something that's like as emblematic of a culture as like superheroes, because superheroes originally they were kind of meant to symbolize something that some sort of value. Like Superman was like the goodest of men that there could be, but he was an alien. But now when you take that away from Superman, then you're sacrificing what the character means for the people that love the characters, and therefore you potentially have a bad superhero movie. But what makes them... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna say that it seemed like what they were when they were doing the whole like Justice League themes and stuff. It seemed like they wanted to take a realistic take and a gritty take on their world. Because I did enjoy like the Superman themes of his story. It was like what happens when there is a literal God on Earth and how people view that God. Like how people were worshiping him as a religious idol. And then I like the shots where they're like, you know, Superman is like going through the crowd of like all the people and they all want to touch him and stuff. I love stuff like that.
Right.
It's just the overall execution of it was just bad, but those themes are great.
Right.
What happens when Batman does break down and he does go on, he doesn't care. He's a vigilante at this point. And what happens when Superman is treated like a god? How does that view affect him? It kind of warps their character, but it's taking a more realistic tone of what would happen if this actually was real life.
That's the
that
thing.
requires a lot of setup. Sorry, go ahead.
Ryan.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like specifically the Nolan films, it's realistic Batman. It's already established.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do it with Batman in a sense.
Right.
But if you try to make a realistic Superman movie, that's literally impossible.
Well, that's what's great about the whole goddess aspect of it. That's like that would be the realistic is like this. I mean, he is God.
I mean, in a sense,
you can do whatever you want.
You can't though. He's still Superman. He's still this cartoony character, even though you're trying to make him realistic.
Right.
So the thing to do, and this is all about setup, and this is why the DC movies fundamentally failed compared to the Marvel movies. The DC movies had not spent enough time setting up the rules for their universe, and then broke those rules almost immediately. So like if you, let's say Superman is a god among men, and you want to explore that, you want to explore the timeline of what happened when Superman loses his shit, you know, and that is a story that is worth exploring because essentially the theme is there, the theme that's going on there. What happens when the most powerful thing in the world is right in your backyard and he's against you? How do you stop that? That is man versus nature as a structure. And like this is script writing talk, but now the concept becomes man against a force of nature that they cannot control. How do they overcome that? That is the conflict of the story. It's not Superman's internal conflict on when he went crazy. You would have to make that film as an antagonistic force going against Superman after Superman has lost his shit. But in order to justify Superman going crazy, you have to set up an event that is worthy of making Superman go crazy. You can't just have Superman lose his mind for no reason. He needs a trauma. He needs a trigger point. He needs a catalyst for that to happen. So let's say Lois gets killed, or what was it like?
Injustice.
Injustice,
really.
yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Injustice is
Yeah.
a great setup for Superman going evil, because it gives him a setup to, like, this is the Superman that we knew. This is what happened. This is how his mind got warped. And this is now us against the strongest being in the universe.
Yeah.
So what the DC movies did not do was establish the rules of what Superman was correctly in the beginning. Man of Steel was a very bad movie. It looked good. It was well shot, but thematically, what is it saying? It's saying nothing about Superman. It's just people with superpowers fight each other. And that's what, to wrap it all around to a central point, that is what makes superhero movies that's what tend to make superhero movies operate outside the realm of cinema as an exploration of character and emotion. They always reset back to a status quo, and their actions in the film don't have any dramatic effect because it's reset by the next joke that happens in the film.
Yeah. That's like comic books too. Like, character dies, 10 issues later he comes back, status quo and whatever.
Right. There's no risk taking. That is my biggest gripe with the Marvel movies. There's no risk taking post Avengers 1. Iron Man 1, 2, 3 were amazing. Thor 1 was fantastic. Was there another movie that came out before Phase?
What about Winter Soldier? You like Winter Soldier?
I love Winter Soldier. And Winter Soldier, I like it because it's what Captain America, the most patriotic man, is now faced with his best friend who is the opposite of him. And so now Captain America has to fight against the side of himself that wants to protect Bucky, but also retaining his identity as Captain America. That's a fascinating concept. That's a great internal emotional conflict. But it goes out the window when Captain America comes back the next film and acts like nothing happened. And so...
like, leading on to that, like, more of the business side of things, like, not like people like us who like read the news and stuff about these movies and that stuff leading up to it. Like, how they announced like the lineup for the Phase 3 or 4, I can remember. Yeah. Before like Infinity War came out, so we knew Spider-Man's gonna come back or something.
Right.
Even though after the dramatic snap, you can see like these movies are more of a, like you said, like a what's the word? You said it like a.
It's like cookie cutter.
Not that, like more like they're just like products you just gotta watch. They're not what he said about cinema. They're literally what he just said about that whole statement there.
They're not. They're not exploring any dramatic content. They're not making dangerous choices. They're just releasing shit that has characters that you like fighting each other.
Right. It
feels more business.
Pretty much, it's like they're not trying to win an Oscar with this film. They're just trying to make money. I mean, that's what these things do. They just print money. Yeah. And that's the whole point of like. It's almost like it's a safe investment for studios to put into these movies.
It's absolutely what that is. With the amount of money, sorry, Tay, I'll let you talk in a second, but with the amount of money that they made, Endgame, or even the cheapest Marvel movie, like with the amount of money that could have made Iron Man 1, which I think the budget for that is like, what, a couple tens of millions of dollars, maybe like 100 million.
Not even sure. Yeah.
I'll look it up in a second. But with the amount of money that they used to make even Iron Man 1, they could have made fucking 700 small to mid-budget films. Like you could make at least 10. 700 is a large number, but let's take the Infinity or the Endgame budget, which I believe was $150 million. Even if you divide that and you give $1 million to 150 films, you have 150 investments there that could potentially give you a much more reward and return on investment if you have 150 films and 50 of those films make 4 times your budget. Now you have 4 franchises that could potentially make you even more money in the future. But you didn't invest in those films. You invested in the safe thing because it brought over $2 million. So the economy. I think it's what,
Go ahead. No, it's like I remember like when Deadpool 1 was coming out, they were making a big deal how small budget, but it made a lot in turn.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's because and this is where we're having a return, and this is why I think, to bring it all around in a neat package to answer your question, this is why I think the theater system will not die. It's because when you have the amount of big studios that you have involved in the financial backing of these films, there's no possible way that they're going to allow that to happen, because these are cash cows for them. They are the ones that push the distribution. They're the ones that make the film, and the one that market the film, and they're the one that buy up to 50% to 75% of screen time real estate for them to show those films. They print money with them. They will not let them die. But what is going to happen is that while the theater experiences get full of the big studio movie, the independent streamers are going to move into streaming platforms. And the big studio system that we had back in the 50s is going to come back. And it is coming back. We've seen it in action for about 8 or 9 years now, where like the 1950s and the 1960s were dominated by 2 or 3 big studios making films. And then in the 1970s, we had the golden age of directors, which is where people like Tarantino, Scorsese, all of the other great ones that are from the 70s and 80s, came out, and they started gaining control of the system. They started making their art. They were independent filmmakers, and now they controlled it. And now we're returning back into the 1950s big studio environment, except now it's Marvel and Disney that are dominating these things. And so Marvel and Disney are going to make sure that the theaters don't die, so that they can keep showing their product and charge you 10 times a ticket, or like $10 a ticket every single time.
I don't know about Disney though, because they can kind of just hook, line, and sinker you with their streaming service, because it's way more probably fruitful to have you paying $15 a month, 12 times out of the year. And then on top of that, which actually leads me into my second topic of the kind of
before you get on, I was going to ask, like, it's going to lead to that too, but what's fascinating with the Marvel Disney thing and cinema in general is, like, do you think so theoretically Marvel Disney is kind of keeping the theater system alive in a sense, but like, is it harder for like anyone else other than them to market well or something, or get that audience or something?
It's not.
If that make any sense? Well,
yes, and here's the reason why. It's about marketing budgets, right? So Marvel, Endgame had a $150 million budget, and their marketing budget was almost the same amount as their production budget, right? So they are making sure that whenever you think about going to the cinema or theater to watch a film, that you are thinking about their film, because their films are bombarded to you through YouTube, through billboards, through signage, through toy stores, through marketing deals with restaurants, through all of that shit. They have made sure that when you think of technology in cinema, you think of Tony Stark. Or when you see a star, you think of Captain America. They make sure that these icons are so ingrained in culture that they become so ubiquitous that when you go to see a film, if you see Hereditary on the matinee and then you see Avengers, you're more likely to go for Avengers because you know what to expect from Avengers, but you don't know what you're going to get with Hereditary. Because Hereditary had a minute budget compared to Avengers. And in order to show, it needed to fight with movies like the Marvel studio. It needed to fight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all these companies have to like fight against these big budget blockbusters like that. And it's like, it's hard for them.
It's incredibly hard.
Yeah, I've seen like movies that bomb just because of their release date. If they release, and like I've probably seen like movies like change their release date just for the sake of
to get away that window.
If anything was releasing the same week as Avengers Endgame, that movie probably did not do well, just solely because there's a way bigger boat.
Yeah, it got the mouse had the Infinity Stones, who fucking snapped them out of existence. That's what it was. It sounds very cynical. It does. It sounds incredibly cynical and angry that someone whose goal is to make films to say that mass market movies like Marvel and Disney are doing are ruining cinema. I know it does. And they are not ruining it, but they are just taking control of the market in such an exhausting way that the resources for smaller filmmakers are dwindling every single day.
Double-edged sword, really.
Yeah. And
Sense.
It kind of like diluting the water a bit.
yeah, well, they're oversaturating the market so that the only thing that you go see when you go into a big movie theater is these big blockbusters, you know? And like there's only 2 or 3 major media corporations, and they own all the other production corporations. You know, so it's not, it's like if you go see a Warner Brothers film, Warner Brothers is owned by one of the biggest, like there's another stage beyond Warner Brothers that owns Warner Brothers and all of the other subsidiaries of it. And they all have to report to that one person. And that person essentially controls the corporate structure of what gets produced and what doesn't. So you end up with films that are looking the same, sounding the same, feeling the same, and have no real identity of their own, because the money that is funding all of these films come from the same 2 or 3 sources.
Right. Yeah. And then that leads into
go ahead, Jordan.
Safe bets.
Yeah, go to your topic.
Oh, so what I wanted to say is like what really brought up like one of these questions, and this happened just yesterday. And this is a very interesting topic because I want to see how divided we all are on this, or how in agreement we are on this. So Disney, so since COVID-19 is going on, a bunch of movies they've been delayed, and they're not being able to be released in theaters. And some companies have streaming service. So Disney has Disney Plus. So Disney was supposed to have Mulan release, I guess in September 4th, I think it's going to be releasing. But instead of releasing in theaters, it's going to be releasing on Disney Plus.
Right.
That's fine. And that would make sense because, you know, you put a big name movie on there that people want to see on your streaming platform. You get people to sign up, and then boom, there you have someone hook, line, sinker for like $15 a month,
right,
or whatever. Disney has, they're pretty much what I can see what they're doing. They are sticking their toe in the water. They're seeing how many people are going to bite to do this, but they are charging an additional $30 to rent Mulan on their streaming platform. So you have to pay $15 to get in to see, or just to get onto the platform. And then after that $15, it's an additional $30 behind a paywall to watch Mulan, to rent it.
Hey, Disney? Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Stop it.
And when I saw that, I was like, that I can kind of get behind the renting of it if it was like through like Fandango. So Fandango, I use Fandango. Mm-hmm. You're just renting movies. And if you want to move the theater experience, if you have a nice setup, so if you do have like a big TV, and I do have a big TV, and if you do have surround sounds and shit like that, it's not that bad. Like, you can just rent a movie that was supposed to come out in theaters. Well, you can rent it, and if it's $30, then that's like, if 2 people are watching it, that's $15 per person. Or if you really want to get into like the nitty gritty of it, you can just have like, you know, all your mates come over, and then there's 5 of you, and then everyone chips in, and it's way cheaper than that. And then everyone can be fucking off on their phone, you know, jerking it under the covers and shit to the movie. And then you're not going to get kicked out of the house because it's not a movie theater.
Right.
I saw this, and someone they reply, it may happen to Black Widow too. And for me personally, I'm not against it, but I'd rather be cheaper than $30. I think $30 is too expensive for that. I'm fine with at least $15 to $20.
So,
it's a ticket to me.
Here's the thing.
But I understand the criticism with that, though.
Here's the thing, Tay.
Yeah.
$30 for a rental? Like, I'm not against the concept of renting. I rent movies digitally all the time. That is fine. I'm with Tay on that one. But just to solidify the thing that Tay just said, Blu-rays, the thing that you own and you carry back to your house, and that has bonus features, documentaries about the film, all of that.
It's worth this
shit,
price.
It's $30.
Yeah.
You can buy a Blu-ray of a film for the cost that Disney wants you to pay for renting one of their new releases. And I know that they have to make money because they spent X amount of money budgeting this film. and they couldn't release it in the theaters. I know.
I just want to say, like, no, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently they're doing this because they weren't meant to be streaming the movies currently, right? Is that true?
Yeah, well, these movies were slated for a theatrical release.
Yeah. Does it have to do something with that?
Yeah, and my guess is like if you make, my guess is the way that the corporate structure works. Like if you make a budget for streaming, like products are gonna go directly into streaming, like your Disney originals or your Netflix originals, and you make a budget for your other content that's gonna get a theatrical release. Those are two very different pools of money, and they pulled a bunch of money from from their theatrical release pool, and then they couldn't release those movies out in the theatrical release. So they're trying to get their money out of somewhere else.
Back. Yeah.
So yeah, they've probably lost money in towards like TV marketing and stuff like that.
Which makes a lot of sense monetarily, but as a customer.
Yeah, as a customer, I'd say as a consumer, it's not
as a
really
consumer.
great.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Absolutely, it's ridiculous.
And people are pretty fucking muffed about it.
I mean, like for me, they know I'm gonna. Like, I don't want to sound like a corporate bootlicker thing, but I'm gonna watch that product, bro.
That's a fucking thing.
I love that fucking word.
I mean, I'm not gonna like lie about anything. I mean, I will watch the movie, and I'm part of the problem maybe. But it's like, thing. But I do think the price is too extreme. I think $30 is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think 30. So you're paying $30 for us pretty much the time exclusive.
Like, hypothetically, how long is the time period for this movie?
Well, it depends. Like, you want to pay $30 to watch it day one or that first week, and then you wait like 3 months to get that DVD price or whatever. You like 3 months away, you get it. You can buy it for like $15.
Here's how I would handle the release of that, and I think that it's not because like they have analysts and they know that people are gonna pay it, so I'm not pretending to know more than like the industry itself, but $30 is asking a lot of the people that support your product. It's asking an insane amount of money for people that are going to watch this at home. And sure, you have the market or the market case where 50 people are going to come over or like 15 people are going to come over and watch the film at someone's house, and therefore like the price tag makes sense if everybody pitches in like $2 for it. And that is significantly cheaper, but you can't expect to have a paywall of a product and then have another paywall within the paywalled product to watch more content. It just sounds stupid.
And that's the part that's where I have a problem. Is like, you mean I have to pay for Disney Plus, then I have to pay an additional just to rent? Like, and like I said, I was saying on Twitter the other day, is like I have to pay to pay.
Yeah, and it's
that's fucking absurd. And I don't know why they think they can get away with that.
But they know they are going to get away with it. That's the thing. Because I'm one of the people.
If people pay this is setting a bad precedent for what's to come.
But from what I heard,
damn well, and like when I was seeing like people on Twitter talking about Black Widow, and it's funny because people don't really give a shit about Mulan. They know this movie's not going to be that great. Mm-hmm. But when people were asking like about Black Widow, they were like, so what if they do as a Black Widow? And people were like kind of bootlicking about, yeah, I'd pay the. I'm like, no, do not do that. Do not let them keep doing this.
Well, that's the thing I'm going to say. This is a one-time thing.
It's not. If people pay for it, it's definitely not going to be a one-time thing. They'll just keep doing it.
That's it.
I don't think so because they have to get their money back somehow.
No, but here's the thing. Now, what is way cheaper? In the COVID is over, right? And then you have a Disney Plus subscription, and they shoot a Black Widow movie, and they release it in theaters, and then they say, oh, we release it in theaters, but if you want to leave the theater, you can rent it from us for $45. And then now you have the film available to you, and you can watch it at the comfort of your own house. Now they know that business model worked because we paid for it when we were in COVID. And so now they're going to squeeze every money out of you. Here's people, and this is going to sound cynical, and I am pretty much an anti-capitalist when it comes to corporations. I hate the concept of corporations. I think they're dumb, and I think that they dominate our lives way too much. But corporations are not friendly. they will extort
No,
you
they're
out
not.
of every penny that you have. And
That's all they care about.
yeah, and if they release Black Widow for $30, $45, whatever, and you buy it and they make their budget back, maybe the next Marvel movie doesn't have a theater release and it goes straight to Disney Plus, and now it's $60. You know?
I think they're not gonna. I think that's not gonna happen. I think they're gonna want to put it in theaters as much as possible.
That's exactly, I mean, I get it, but that's exactly how microtransaction in video games started happening. You know, they snuck it in one game, people bought it, they put it in another game, people bought more things, and now they're as egregious as just, I mean, they're ubiquitous with bad business practice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not,
It pretty much, I mean, now, yeah, because microtransactions is ingrained, but at least that we hit a bubble where it did explode and they did knock it off, because it was to the point where it was like pay to win.
right.
But at least now that, like, after EA took all that shit and we had to finally take them to the court over like loot boxing, loot boxes, it's just now all microtransactions, which is, I mean, they're still riddled with it, but at least it's not like you're getting an advantage over it.
It's not as bad, but the business model has switched from a product to a live service.
A service, yeah. Game Pass and all that stuff.
And so,
like,
sorry, go ahead, Tay.
Regarding like the Black Widow thing, like, I do think $30 is ridiculous.
That's insane.
But like, if it's like something like $10 or even $15, I will willing to pay.
Yeah, if it was $10, I'd absolutely rent Black Widow.
Yeah,
If
same.
but
like,
so let's say that it does. So it releases in theaters for, like, you know, whatever you're paying at your local theater for that price, and then it releases. So let's say it has a dual release. It does theater and then it does digital. Digital, it's 30. Theater, at the theater, it's whatever you're paying. And they just do like the comfort from your home. Where I have a problem with it, it's just paying for a streaming service on top of trying to rent it. If it was doing it going through a third party like Fandango,
And then you could just
and
rent
I'm
the
just
film.
paying $30, that's fine. I don't give a shit if they're doing that. Because if I can still go to the theater and watch it, that's fine too. But if they do like an exclusive, like, let's say the next Avengers, if they're doing an exclusive on Disney Plus for $30 plus you have to pay to get into Disney Plus, that you're essentially paying $45. That is no. And we cannot let them fucking do that.
Yeah,
like
that's a big no-no for me.
I mean, theoretically, if say COVID didn't happen, they did this release, it would be cheaper with Black Widow digital release than digital release, right? It should be cheaper, to my knowledge. So I'm going by something like more like a digital console, like a thing.
They're calculating how many people's in a household to watch it, which would be like 2 people. That's why it is $30, because the way they're dividing up is like $15 per ticket. You can negate that by having a bunch of your fucking bros come over and, you know, like.
But what about food and
You know,
stuff at
chipping
theaters?
in,
That
right.
adds onto the ticket
But
as well.
they do. I mean, it is possible if people do buy into this. It is possible for them to keep cranking up that price.
Well, so concessions are entirely, the profit market for concessions goes entirely to the theater. So that statistic has no bearing on like the pricing of the tickets at all. The ticket prices are distributed among the distribution company and the production company, and the theater sees almost no money for the pricing of the tickets at all. I think if AMC, they get like probably like 10% of every ticket sale. So they make $1 off of every $10 ticket. So essentially they're cutting out the middleman, and they're saying like, fucking watch our movie for $30 and don't have to leave your home, and they get all of the profit because it's on their service, you know?
Hey.
So how much money should they be charging? Then?
I think that if I have a membership to your streaming platform and you're releasing something in it, I should not have to pay for it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying too.
Like,
So, but let's say if it released on Fandango, how much do you think they should charge for that day one release?
Just a standard digital purchase, like $15. Like, that seems pretty reasonable to me.
And is that to rent and own, or is that just to rent?
That's to rent it. I would pay $30 to digitally own a film, and make sure that I can watch it whenever I want to watch it. I'm not a big digital film guy. I like having the DVDs of things because
Right, and I'm the
yeah,
same way. Is like I'd prefer to have a Blu-ray of it.
of a movie. I just don't believe that once their servers knock over, that I'm still gonna have access to the thing that I paid for. So I feel like if I have a Disney Plus membership, I'll pay you $15. Great. Anything that you put in that platform should be free at that point.
Who established that though? Who established that rule though?
That business model.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix.
Who said you can't like pay?
Well, here's
like,
the thing.
A price tag for a premium movie or something.
You absolutely can do that. You absolutely are more than welcome to. I just personally
don't like
that business model because it's extortionist. It's
Yeah, it's like extremely like.
I mean, it's the same.
It's just dirty. It's just, I mean, like, it's just asking way too much. But if you normalize it, then it's just fucking normal at a certain point, which is definitely what. It's kind of like if you gave up your rights. So let's say like we gave our amendment to like free speech. We just gave that up, and the government said like, oh, we'll give it back next year, but we'll just go a year without having free speech. Let's say a year comes back around. And we ask, like, hey, can we have free speech back? And they're like, and the government's gonna be like, what free speech? Shut up, move on. It's essentially like that. So if you give in to like Disney, you say, okay, I'll pay $30 once. Come next movie, it's gonna be $40, and you're like, they're like, come on, you horny fuck, we know you're gonna pay for this.
Yeah, I get that fear, but something tells me that's not gonna happen. Because I think they're trying to get their money back, which is understandable as a company standpoint. But as a consumer, I understand why it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, say, like, if, like, everything goes back to normal next year, I don't think they're going to do this again unless they make an exclusive Marvel Studios film.
That's what I'm saying. Just don't let them normalize it.
That's what I'm saying.
I get like they're trying to make their money back with this. But if they see people are willing to pay, and if they are willing to pay, then there's a willing for profit. And
True.
They'll
and they
capitalize
do want
on it.
money.
Because marketing's going to look at that as a, like, hey, we can make a shit ton of money. And, like, but if they do start doing that, theaters will 100% die. Like, because that will be, like, the start of it. And then it will trickle down. Because if you notice that, like, fucking TV's dead. It essentially, what we're moving into, and I've said this, I don't know how many times on this podcast.
Digital cable.
But digital cable. Yeah. So there's gonna be like everyone's gonna have a streaming service, and then there's gonna be companies to take 4 or 5 of those streaming services, bundle them together. You pay for one monthly fee, like $80 a month, and then boom, you're back on cable, just internet.
Yeah. No, I totally.
Brian, what'd
you say?
Are you in for like a digital streaming future at all? By any chance? I never really got your impression on that.
Wait, say that one more time. Sorry.
Are you into like a digital future of like film?
I'm not a purist, but I'm not a futurist.
You want
like
both options.
I like the merging of both worlds. I like the theater experience, and I like going out to see a film, but I also like the ability to be able to watch it digitally or go to my house and like stream something on Netflix and do that.
I think what's gonna happen is definitely standard films, like standard, theaters are gonna die, but like. Because, I mean, I don't do that. I don't even do that anymore. Now, like, going to, like, an IMAX or 4D where I can go sit down and I can feel my dick shake when something explodes, that's definitely worth going out to see. And I definitely cannot get that at home. So experiences like that is, like, worth going out. But, like, standard filming, there's no point. I could sit at home and get a better experience doing that.
See,
I mean, to be honest.
Go ahead.
Like,
I got my own take on this.
I don't. Nah, more like. I just hope the movie's good. I don't care about the general like overall IMAX experience or whatever. I mean, like some movies are shot to be meant in IMAX or whatever, but like if I can watch this movie home, I'll watch it home. If the movie is good, I'm looking at the story and whatever's going on.
And that's like the whole thing with Tenet is like Tenet. Christopher Nolan keeps saying, which I swear to God, I'm pretty sure it's just for the Oscar, but he says like, no, you're meant to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah, like I don't believe that at all. I don't care about that. I can watch it at home if I can. What's so different about the theaters?
I will say though, like with the Marvel movies, like shit like that is definitely something you need to watch in the theaters.
I still disagree with that too. Like I don't care if I can watch it home. and I don't care about the fan experience around me, or even though that's cool, I'd rather watch it at home if I have the option. That doesn't show the quality of the overall film for me.
At the end of Infinity War, that was a almost religious experience to feel like just to feel, because it was so crazy because you could feel electricity in the air.
Yeah, but what does that do for you in the future though? That does us nothing. I mean, it was an amazing experience. I won't disagree.
Like a fucking great memory.
Yeah, but like I can get a great movie from watching this movie. That's like putting sprinkles on ice cream. It makes it better, but it's like
if I was watching something that was super Oscar baity, I would prefer to watch it at home.
See, here's the thing. Here's where I stand, because I agree with Tay a lot. I think that if a movie's good, where you watch it is going to be good. Like it just doesn't matter. But I do, and I disagree. If I want to watch it, I will very rarely pay for a Marvel movie. I'd rather watch it at home. But I will pay for Hereditary, and I will pay for Midsommar, and I'll pay for an A24 movie to watch that in theater. And that's the kind of experience that's not flashy or fucking, extraneous in any way or glamorous in any way. They're just very quiet films. But I pay for those in the theater because I get to appreciate
those type of films.
Not only that, but not only do I get to support them financially, but I get to see a large screen and appreciate all of the detail that the filmmaker went into the trouble of adding to the frame and noticing things that would be potentially too small on my home screen and or for the sound design, something that I would potentially miss.
So you're looking for more technical form.
It definitely depends on certain setups. Like if you have like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Joker was amazing.
I don't have
IMAX.
like an IMAX setup in my home, so that's why I prefer, if I wanted to watch an action movie. Like I kind of swore this off like a couple years ago. Is like if I go to watch an action movie, I'm gonna watch an IMAX because I know I'm gonna get my ears blown out by the speakers.
I think IMAX is bullshit.
So to counter that, if you watch that movie again at your home, is that same experience still at home? The overall quality of that film?
No, I mean I can't feel my dick shaking my pants.
So that's what I'm saying. You're relying on the legit theater experience to justify that film's quality.
I mean, I think it heightens it. I think I don't get a full ride out of it. Now, on the like perspective, let's say like I was watching Joker at home.
Yeah.
Or let's say Hereditary, because I love Hereditary. Hereditary, I'm glad I watched it in my own house because that's a horror movie. I think a lot of stuff like that can be you don't need like huge speakers and you don't need like a huge TV. You're trying to concentrate on what's going on in the story and you're trying to understand the vibe and everything. And if some dickhead is in front of you on their phone and their glare is coming up and you can't concentrate on like the key aspects of that story because that's what's important, that's like what makes it nice, is because there's no one bothering you at home. You can be locked away in your room for that entire experience and have your mind fully on that screen.
I think that movie theaters.
Now, like on the other hand, you do like an action movie, some dickhead's on his phone, doesn't fucking matter. I'm getting my shit rocked by this big speaker right next to me.
You know what? I really understand the value of everything. I am right in the middle of like film purists, like go see the theater experience and buy it at home. At the end of the day, I believe that wherever you watch a movie and wherever you're comfortable watching the movie and you have a good experience, fucking do that. Just don't pay $30 after paying $15 for a streaming service. That's the only thing I'm saying. It's like
$30 is ridiculous.
Watch the movie wherever the fuck you want, but if you're gonna pay $30, buy the fucking thing. Don't rent it.
Truly, it's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like it just depends on what kind of person you are. I mean, some people can have religious experiences watching a Marvel movie or watching like a Oscar bait movie.
Yeah. And so
it literally just depends on the person.
It is completely insane to me that we have let the market turn into this sort of Marvel Studio Disney conglomerate. I mean, that fucking mouse owns everything that we watch in media.
Yeah, it is literally got a rope around everybody's
It is
neck.
a content monopoly that's happening with Disney, and as long as the content is good, that generally doesn't matter. But my problem is that will eventually bottleneck the kind of content that we're seeing. It's gonna
I did.
push
Yeah,
everything out. We're gonna see one thing, and that's a problem.
I kind of like agree with it to some degree. Like you say, like quality, like like the Marvel success stuff, the universe formula everyone's trying to do now, and then like I see like these other companies try to do it, and it's like you don't have to do this, because they did it.
Just make a movie.
And it's like DC is a good example, and they kind of shine away from it. Or remember the what is the Monsters universe that failed? They try to do it,
Dark universe.
Yeah, like even the MonsterVerse, even though I love Godzilla and stuff, I'm just like everyone's trying to follow the same formula of this cinematic universe thing.
Well, it's like corporate.
Kind of annoying.
It's corporate meddling.
Because they see that
you
money
have to
there,
follow,
and they trying to replicate
it's
it.
like this is what makes us money. Which I mean, that's the gamble with these things is like this. I like if I put let's say I gave you $20 million of my own money and I want to see a return, and I know, and I have these advisors, and they're telling me that like, if this is slightly like Marvel movies, I will see my money come back and I will make, plus amount of dollars. I'll get my interest back or I'll get my money back with interest. And that's the problem with like all these people like Disney owning all of this stuff is that like you wouldn't see Hereditary like under Disney's hat because Disney wouldn't let them experiment like that, like A24 does. But even A24 has its like own like vibe to it.
Yeah, they do. I can feel the vibes between. Like I saw Uncut Gems, I just knew what it was A24 because it's just like
it's like something with the lighting or
Dude,
something.
Uncut Gems
it just is
such a
Brian?
Uncut Gems is such a fucking stressful movie.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Hey, I told Jordan.
Can we talk about Unstressed? Yeah, I love to talk about Uncut Gems with you
Fucking
guys.
my butthole was clenched the entire time that I was watching that film. I think that so I interesting that you said. I just want to say I think that the A24 vibe comes from not the lighting, but the type of movie that they make, the type of intimacy that is between each of the characters.
Bizarre.
There is something there, like you can tell an A24 movie because they have a specific type of writing, a kind of slow and deliberate writing thing. And I fucking love it. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
It's like a slow crawl up your spine.
It feels indie in a way. Like, just...
It's like indie with a higher budget.
And I hate to say this, it feels like a pre-MCU kind of movie.
Well,
you know what it
that's
is?
exactly what it is.
It's like
a pre-MCU world movie.
Yeah, because it's just
sense.
a fucking movie. Yeah. It's not a fucking
It's
universe.
just a movie.
It's because it's a film. It's like we're not...
Because like all these...
You're not trying to sell me a fucking... Sorry, I'm angry now. You're not trying to sell me a fucking...
No, you're good.
...universe about Payman and all the other 7 Kings of Hell. You just want to tell a good fucking story.
A good story. And it's what...
And it's great.
And that's what I was like telling I was saying earlier. Like, I just give me a good story. Yeah, that's my problem with these people trying to replicate the universe thing. Like, it doesn't always work with that certain property.
No.
Just tell me a good single story, and that's all I need. Make a sequel if it's good.
It's like A24 lets their directors kind of just do whatever they want.
It's Netflix.
They just find a director that's kind of fit their standard of quirkiness, and then they just let them, go off and do weird shit.
Do what they do.
That's why I praise Netflix. It flags more creative freedom over there. Give me a movie and just drop it up.
And that's exactly why I
porn.
believe that theaters won't die, but the content that we're going to be seeing in theaters is going to be drastically different than the content that we're going to see on streaming platforms.
What we need is just someone that's so fucking rich that they're just willing to give money out to anybody. Because then once you start doing that, then you can just start seeing some wild shit.
And that's really fucking it, man.
The Rock.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know The Rock? I think he owns XFL now.
Really?
What is XLF? What is that exactly? It's football, right?
Yeah, different brand of football. The counter NFL.
God damn.
It's so low budget, and I watched it before. It came out in the early 2000s, but it came back recently.
I've heard it's like extreme football, right? It's like the aggressive football.
No, it's football, just a different brand that's not in NFL. So it's like watching like UFC to like watching some Chinese knockoff of UFC.
You don't think about this, but like the NFL has a fucking vice grip on football, like a vice
Dude,
grip.
the NBA,
like that thing
the
it will
NFL,
never come
those are
off.
some of literally the worst organizations you could ever work for. The NBA,
What?
yeah, NFL, NBA, any major sports conglomerate is disgusting in the way that it handles pretty much anybody that works for them. They're all I hate to say it. I am an anti-corporate, anti-capitalist fuck. Okay, like I will make a movie with corporate money and then not think twice about it, but I will never say that a corporation has helped me in any way. Like I steal from Target any chance that I get.
I think it's fine. I think corporations are fine if they are small in many numbers.
They still want your money.
No, I don't give a shit
But
about
if
capitalism.
like
Isn't okay.
fucking-
That's my thing. Capitalism is not okay, and that's what it's just not in any capacity. It's not okay because that
I miss Angry Bryan, dude.
We need to be all sitting in a single room with like 2 pots of coffee going.
fucking scene.
Old man jails.
Brian like holding his armchairs and we're both sweating our fucking balls off.
No, not to cut you off, Brian.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
you're
though.
good.
What
I
you
just remember
saying?
the one time where I made a pot of coffee in the animation room and I made it like fucking thick because I put way too much coffee in it. And I was like seeing through time, and me and Crockett were drinking it. fucking.
What does thick cost me? Like, how is
It's
that? I
disgusting.
can't comprehend
It was
that.
gross, man.
It was like
It was
strong.
like
Like
sludgy.
it probably like punch you out.
It knocked me out. You were like, see
And I
dimensions.
remember me and Crockett
Like me and Brian were drinking it and we're growing full man beards in like seconds. That's
forgot
how
about
raw we were.
I turn around, look back, you guys like, what is me now? Got a lot of
Only the
booze.
manliest men can drink this black roast.
exactly what it was. It was fucking disgusting. I loved it. But yeah, capitalism is
No,
not
Brian.
okay at all. In no capacity or form. Corporations have because corporations, when they get to the stage that Disney is at right now, they have
It's disgusting.
so much propaganda that you don't even recognize as propaganda. They are selling you on patriotism. They are selling you on discriminatory beliefs. They are selling you on xenophobia. They are selling you on all of these things, and they are disguised as really neat little films and TV shows, but they're injecting these fascist values, these sort of like pull yourself up by your bootstrap values that eventually make it into the pop culture as the correct thought. And then you have less empathy for people of color, less empathy for people that are poor, less empathy for people that are in a more difficult. And I know that this is dark compared to what we were fucking talking about a couple seconds ago, but
Fuck us for everything, dude.
but it's we underestimate the power that media has as a whole. And
Yeah.
when
Oh, God.
You know, I always thought that was something about Disney was like super scary, is that they have a vice grip on children's cartoons. And how many people you know have like grown up on watching Disney movies? They've watched all these Disney movies as a child and they've been like that forever. They can dictate what core values you get out of those movies as a child, and slowly you grow up through watching everything Disney, from a toddler to a preteen to a teen to and then into your adulthood.
I'm talking about
They don't have a vice grip on adulthood, but
They're on their way.
they're creeping into like Marvel, where they can almost completely control what you see through your entire adulthood life.
yeah.
It's like just how these companies, especially doing like Prada One, how they all change their logo to a gay symbol, and how they just show how it represents the gay community for that
Dude, that
particular
shit pisses
1
me
month,
off so
because it's
much.
so corporate
Yeah.
in a sense. Like
It's like we're selling you on being gay.
And
Yeah. buy our products now.
the corporations are not. We are. This is
They're not your
this is a
friend.
fucking
People think
sentence
that though.
that people will probably make fun of, but we are heading into a specific brand of dystopia where corporations are more human than humans, and corporations have more right and more leeway than
Freedom.
human beings, and more freedom than human beings. And we see that because corporations get bailed out constantly, but the moment one of us can't pay rent, you're out on your ass. Like we are unfortunately in a system that loves xenophobic, fascist statements And we are, by having no other choice but to live in that system, we are fueling that system by giving our money to these big, massive corporations. And it's an endless loop because we can't fix it. Like I can decide to not watch any Marvel movie ever again, but I am $15 out of $2 billion. You know, like it's just the power that media has. It is insane. And when people pretend that people like Disney are treating that power wisely, they're being not naive, but they're being a little bit ignorant about what their money does and what their money is fueling. And so for me, I'd fucking get rid of corporations and let people fund their own shit when it comes to independent media. And then you get some varied content, and then you get some varied ideas.
Socialism.
Yeah, socialism. Why are we so against socialism? Let's bring that back. Hey,
because you think you're taking it right.
Hey, did you break your leg?
They
Let's just get it fucking taken care of. You just go to the hospital. It's not $600. How about that?
No, Brian, because we don't have free healthcare. You know?
Fucking let's just.
You know the problem is, it's a human construct, so that's where it has faults because something that created it wasn't perfect, so it's going to have faults.
Yeah,
in
no,
it.
absolutely.
So any construct that we have is going to have like problems.
Totally agree.
It doesn't matter. It's always and it doesn't matter what it is. It will always build up to where it's going to fail. Human societies haven't not built a dystopian yet, or a not a dystopian, but what is the word I'm looking for? Utopia. We haven't built a utopia.
Well, it's impossible to do that. God, we've talked about so much.
I know we went from movies to like fucking human society constructs.
Nah, go ahead. Say what you gotta say, dude.
We're dipping into like last week's topics.
It's one of those things where like you really as a consumer are so grabbed by the balls by everything that is put. You're constantly bombarded with shit. You are constantly told to watch X and drink X and eat X and fucking play Y and all of that, all of the fucking time. To the point where we are living in anxiety about what to do with every waking second of our life. And that is a product of all of these movies and films and television shows injecting us with the idea that in order to be productive, we have to be making money.
I think social media as well is a major factor.
Yeah, social media sucks. I deleted all social media from my phone. I don't use it unless I'm at a computer, and I leave my phone in other rooms of the house. I fucking hate social media.
Hey, Brian, I was literally thinking about that today. I know I keep coming back. Social media is extremely draining.
Say that one more time. You
I was thinking about that, something similar like that today. Like, social media is ridiculous to the point where, I want to delete it, but like you said, you literally explained it. We're too drawn to it. You're afraid of missing something. Yeah. Or
I mean, they design it to be addictive, to release dopamine in the brain every time you get a notification, and then but they keep you coming back because the moment that you don't get that, you're anxious. Why are you not getting that? You're gonna post this podcast, and there's gonna be at least an hour you're gonna be checking the stats for the podcast, and refresh.
Well, likes, subscribes, and all that stuff.
And that's not because what you did is invaluable. It's because it's not valuable yet in the eyes of a capitalist society until you get the validation from the 1,000 likes or the 1,000 subscribes. All of that. Social media is incredibly fucking gross.
It creates a false reality for people.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And then people from social media, that's where this is the intersect between social media and capitalism and film lies for me. When the society that you're in tells everybody that the thing that they consume is good because it's the only thing that they can consume, then you add social media on top of that. We got all these crazy fanboys that are saying that Star Wars is social justice propaganda. And you get all of these idiots on Twitter saying that Star Wars is anti-white because Rey's holding a black stick and they think it symbolizes a black cock.
And so loud with it. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They are so fucking loud and people love giving them attention.
So loud.
People love giving them attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't listen to them.
And it's I have left social media almost entirely because every time I'm in it, I want to like kill myself. And
There's like going back to like video games, like The Last of Us 2, how that it was extremely loud on the internet, but the overall sales in like, the world. Because people think social media is the world, but it's really not. It's like they thought that vocal minority represents the entire game sale. Like, oh, we're gonna boycott this game.
You know what it is? Because everybody's voice is at the same volume.
And that's, I hate that. And it's not like trying to not hear your opinion. I think you're just constantly in my face screaming 100% 24/7.
Right.
And it's
human beings
draining.
weren't meant to take with our bandwidth isn't supposed to be this like we're not supposed to take in this
information.
Much volume of stuff.
Like when I'm on social media, it's like constantly screaming.
Yeah.
This is what social media feels
It's like screaming into the void.
And it's gotten worse over time to the point where I think during the Black Lives Matter thing incident that happened, I had to get off a line for a bit because it was just like emotionally draining.
It is.
Just a lot of people were like, I'm taking a break from social media.
Yeah.
You're not meant to see that much, like it's funneling. You're just funneling hate. You're funneling all the negativity right into just your screen, and that's all you see. And I know like the Black Lives Matter shit was they were posting all this police brutality and stuff, and it seemed like the entire world was like getting abused, but it's really like it was just a slice. But you're consuming that entire slice. You're not consuming everything as a whole. This
was so fascinating about it though, like, cause like when someone like say hypothetically I'll tweet out like I'm taking a break, and someone will reply to me like, "You can't escape this problem." Like, I know that.
But here's the thing.
There's to a point you get overwhelmed. I was like,
I'm not meant to fucking see this much.
No, I get it. Like that's the pros of social media. You can see what really happens in the world. You can learn a lot of things, and I understand that. But there's sometimes to the point where you get too much drowned into it till you get to a spot you can't get out of, and it's overwhelming.
It's not only overwhelming, but it drains your mental health. It drains your bandwidth, and
it does.
You start feeling guilty because the shit that is happening out in the world, you can't do anything to fix. It is beyond your control.
About it. Yeah.
It is because it's systemic. Things are built from the ground up to be oppressive by the nature of the people that built it. And then when you as a person are absorbing all of the information and everything that's wrong with that, and you can fix it because you are an individual, your sense of guilt eventually drowns you. And going on social media feels like fucking just getting pelted in the face with shotgun pellets made out of rubber. And there is a sense of responsibility that we do have to take. Like, that's true, but like, fucking breathe. Be a person before you're on social media for so long.
That's the problem. We can't breathe, and some people think we're not allowed to breathe in some sense. And
you know what that was though? Like that you were in the belly of the beast. That is like how that's how these constructs were built. They were built because what are you more likely to respond to? Some like hate bigot speech or something positive like an old like a Boy Scout helped an old lady cross the street. What are you more likely to respond to?
You're going to respond to the bad thing because the bad thing is infinitely more interesting.
Right. That's literally how Facebook is built. They know that you're going to respond to this hate speech. So they purposely will put that garbage in front of you.
Yeah.
Or more or less, I don't think they would do it in front of you. I know YouTube, if you search constantly, let's use Trump as an example here. If you constantly search Trump stuff because you hate him so much that you are only going to see Trump stuff, which will make you continuously stay on the on those channels, even though it's pretty much you're shooting yourself in the foot. You could search nothing but puppies and get nothing but puppies, but you're not going to give a shit.
But
people want to be angry.
Yeah, and here's angry is a very powerful emotion for people, and it's an useful emotion, but it's an extremely powerful one. And when you keep people angry, you can control what they're angry at by showing them
mob justice
and an angry
mob mentality.
And an angry population is a population that's relatively easy to control. Because an angry population is not thinking about what they're angry about. They're just angry. And they have large reactions.
Right.
And that's how we get people like the twats in Harris Theater that are not wearing a goddamn mask because they're not going to be muscled like a mad dog. They're angry at something. They're angry that they don't have enough money to pay rent. They're angry that they don't have enough money to feed their families. And so they latch on to the people that are telling them that the reason why you don't have money is because immigrants and people from China are coming here and they're bringing the China virus and they breed xenophobia, and then we have all of that shit happening.
God, I hate that saying so much. The Kung Flu and all that.
Kung flu? Like, someone said that?
Yeah, no, that's the thing Trunk says, Kung Flu. Like,
what an idiot.
I hate bringing him up on a podcast because it's like it's the same story over and over, but he's not helping at all.
No, he's not. And he's never going to help.
No.
But the point of, I don't know, I guess like, the thing that I want to say is that, like, just be a person, you know? Like if you...
Thank you, Brian. Just be a good person. Is that so hard?
I'm not even asking you to be a good person. I'm just asking you to be a person. Like, put your phone down and just exist. Watch a movie any way that you want to watch it. But remember that if you do pay $30 to watch Black Widow after paying $15, you're a bit of an idiot. But just watch the movie if that's
don't
really
be a
what
drone.
you want to do.
Don't fall into it.
Like,
be self-aware.
Consume responsibly.
Or, right. Or just have original thought.
Yeah.
Just don't let anyone else decide what you're going to think today. Just have an original thought. Don't go online and be part of this mass, like, don't...
People want to be connected as much as possible.
Yeah. I gotta go to work pretty soon, so I want to end on a quick little note.
Yeah, good one.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Birds of Prey?
I didn't even watch it.
It's a fucking great film, and you should all watch it.
Came out this year, right?
Yeah, came out. It's going to win the Oscars because it's the only movie that released in theaters.
Nah, Sonic is.
Sonic's going to win.
Sonic.
I have not seen Sonic at all. I really want to see it.
It's not worth the time. It's really
That's
average.
sad.
But I heard Birds of Prey was amazing, but no one just watched it.
Birds of Prey was really good. And just because we started the whole conversation with like the comic book thing, Birds of Prey is a great comic book film. Because as far as I know, I don't know anything about Harley Quinn and anything that's happening on in that side of the DC verse. But the character feels like Harley Quinn, and all of the other characters feel really good. And it is just a great film directed by a female director. And I believe that the director is also a writer. I believe her name is Katie something. It's a fucking great film, and you should all watch it. And also, comic book movies made by straight white men. We gotta stop it. We gotta stop that shit. I'm just saying. Crockett, I'm sorry. But
hey, not that drag it on, but is it because it's like oversaturation?
Not because oversaturation. Well, yes, it's oversaturating the same thematics, the same thing. It's always, like Captain America will always be a white boy, because Captain America doesn't have anything else to worry about other than like
that white boy can run.
Patriotism. If you get a black Captain America, black Captain America has to be worried about getting shot by his own government.
That's what his comic is about how people don't accept he's a black man as Captain America.
Really? Shit, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. It's Sam Wilson's Captain America. Came out a few years ago. So
nice.
Really good.
That's really cool.
Nick Spencer wrote it. You should read it. That's what in the game he gave.
Fuck.
Yeah, the story.
Did you guys hear that? Drop my...
Good job, Crockett.
Jumped right on my PC.
The reason why I say that thing about straight white men writing comic movies, Joker, as good as it was, it's just another white man that went crazy and then gets glorified because of it at the end of the day.
I fucking hate that, though. I hate when people bring up the white man rage.
But it's true. Like, white men get
rage.
crazy all the time and they never get shot.
Yeah, but like
Joker killed a man in the stage.
That's generalizing in like such a big way. I mean, like, because
cis white men,
white man rage,
and so
I mean,
no,
yeah, go ahead,
you're
Brian.
good. I was just gonna say that.
No, I got nothing to say.
Joker is a great film.
Good.
I love the film.
It is.
But how many times are we gonna explore a white man rebelling against a system and not getting punished because of it?
Right now, I'm pull out a gun.
But how many times are we gonna see? How many times are we gonna see the movie about the black man being the slave owner that rebels against the white man?
Yeah, I am so sick of slave movies, dude. Yeah, you're right.
is Toby.
Let's tell you this story of this time period so many times. And I don't want to see
I think a lot of a lot of themes are really oversaturated.
A lot of black people hate slave movies. They're sick of that. This is why they like praise. What's that guy's name? They did to Get Out.
Oh,
they praise
Jordan
his
Peele.
films a lot because it's
Jordan
different.
Peele.
Yeah, because he does different things instead of this generic slave or Madea movie.
He makes actual good movies.
Right.
But it's just another thing. Fucking every market is saturated, and we should all stop giving Disney money. And that's my my thesis. Just
this is my video essay.
No, Brian, man. Like, I'm not in the podcast soon, but like, dude, you're really smart, informative with this stuff. I love you on here, dude.
Appreciate
You're really
You know what, Brian?
amazing on
I
here.
would love to do like a part 2.
yeah,
to
absolutely,
this,
man.
if you're willing to, because I feel like we have way more. I have a lot more in the tank.
I'm
to
angry
keep
about a
going
lot
on
of
this
things.
shit.
So
Yeah, I can go on longer too. Actually, I just like typing the.
We're getting we're running kind of long, but I mean I have a lot in the tank. So yeah, if you would like to do a part 2 of this, that would be
you
great.
guys just let me know. Thursdays usually work best for me for shooting. So I'm absolutely down for another one.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It goes up anyway.
Yeah.
Anytime
Brian, do you
want.
have anything to plug?
No, not at the moment. I am working on a short film that's going to come out soon. I'm not the director. My friend Jonathan is, but we've been editing it. I don't know when that's going to come out, but we are working on that. And I have an article that I'm going to send you guys that I wrote that is related to the whole big budget conversation that I was having earlier on, so you can plug that shit in there too.
What a beast. Brian, you're cool, man.
Can we get a link? Can we get a link to it and we'll post it in the
description
video? Yeah.
Absolutely. 1 second. My girlfriend is calling me, so do your thing. I'll send you.
Oh, yeah. Tay, you want to send us out, or you want me to do it?
Do this every single time.
Big titty, little waist.
Hey.
Thank you guys for stopping down to the podcast. This is a lot of fun. Glad you guys. I hope you guys made it all the way towards the end of the episode.
It's a fantastic
if you guys
episode.
like this video, and you have any thoughts on like what we're talking about and all that stuff, we can meet you down in the comments. I'll meet you down there. You leave a comment. We'll have a full blown conversation about this shit.
Give us a like, subscribe.
If you guys if you guys like the video, give us a like. If you disliked it, give us a dislike.
Because it helps us out a lot.
Yeah. If you guys, what helps us out the most though right now is just like sharing it with your guys' friends, and then just spreading the word is trying to help us grow. We're trying to get off the bottom of YouTube's like that bottom
garbage
feeding.
algorithm.
We're trying to get a little bit higher than that. So
they really ticked me off the other day.
Yeah, that's like probably one of the best ways to support us is just sharing us and help showing us to people and stuff like that. But guys, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for watching or listening. For Spotify users, appreciate it.
Oh God, yeah. What's up, Spotify listeners? Thank you for listening. Probably the best way to see the show right now because Brian. There wasn't a video for Brian, so probably the best way to listen to this podcast. Yeah.
I'm exclusive to Spotify.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
we're
do that.
signing a deal with Spotify for $100 million.
That'd be something, right?
Yeah, we're not that good.
But anyway, guys,
Spotify wouldn't give us a fucking penny.
Really appreciate the watch and listen. So, thank you for watching. See you next week.
Yeah, see you guys.